Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of this week's Business Africa. I am Afolake Oyinloye. The week's top stories in business include: France shows interest in Kenya's nuclear plan. Chinese Commerce Minister says foreign investors are not leaving China, as report suggests. Promotes 2017 Cameroon's multi-sectorial and international exhibition, woos strategic partnership for SMEs. Unreliable and expensive power supply has been a deterrent factor for businesses in East Africa's biggest economy, Kenya. In this light, France has recently shown interest in helping Kenya empower its economy with nuclear energy by 2025. Kenneth Karuri and Serge Kofi with the in-depth story.
France has indicated interest in helping Kenya actualize its dream of powering its economy with nuclear energy by 2027. The proposed nuclear power reactor is estimated to cost $5 billion and will have a capacity of 1,000 megawatts. This is equivalent to 42% of the country's current installed electricity capacity. Kenya generates about 2,300 megawatts of electricity, mainly from geothermal wells and hydroelectricity dams, data from the Energy Regulatory Commission shows. It intends to increase the capacity by 6,766 megawatts by the year 2020. An unreliable and expensive power supply has been cited by businesses as a deterrent to investment in East Africa's biggest economy. The multi-billion-dollar deal will make Kenya the second only African country with a nuclear reactor after South Africa. Although the planned reactor is still a work in progress, it will not only rival the two already in South Africa, but will also be the biggest to meet the growing electricity demand in the country. French Economy and Finance Minister Michel Sapin said the nuclear-rich European country was looking to offer Kenya technical, engineering, and financial support to develop the reactors. Sapin said that France was seeking pacts with Nairobi, like the ones it entered with South Africa on nuclear power development. France has over the years signed several pacts with South Africa, whose two power plants were built by French firm Areva. In April last year, the International Atomic Energy Agency endorsed Kenya's application to include nuclear power in its energy mix. The nation has identified possible sites for the power plants, which include towns bordering Lake Turkana, the Indian Ocean, and Lake Victoria, whose waters will cool the reactors.
And out to China, the country's commerce minister says reports on foreign investment leaving the country are biased, and the recent suspension of coal imports from North Korea as simply part of China fulfilling its international obligations. China also relies on African markets for a steady flow of natural resources to sustain its manufacturing sector. Michael DB and Barbara Lundu with more.
China's Minister of Commerce has announced that reports of foreign investments leaving the country are biased. The minister said the recent suspension of coal imports from North Korea are simply part of China's fulfilling its international obligations. Recently, there has been some talk about foreign investment leaving China, and on multiple occasions, this has become something everyone is concerned about. As with the situation I just explained, I think these claims are biased. Foreign direct investment to China fell 9.2% in January to 80.1 billion yen. Hu Chen said the scope of decline of China's foreign trade has narrowed and the country's international market share has increased. An annual survey from the American Chamber of Commerce in China released last month showed that more than 80% of its members felt less welcome in China than before, and most had little confidence in China opening its markets. The leaders of China and the US jointly believe that cooperation is the only proper choice for the two countries. With this fast development of bilateral trade and economic cooperation, China and the US should maintain proper negotiation and communication. Although there have been disagreements between the two countries in the past, but were solved through negotiation. However, a number of African countries have recently become increasingly drawn to China. China relies on African markets for a steady flow of natural resources to sustain its manufacturing sector.
Later on the program, we'll be taking you to Yaoundé on the recently concluded Economic Trade Fair right after the break.